back to Fourth and Troll Fantasy, the most entertaining fantasy football podcast on the planet. My name is Noah Selby.
And I am Wes Selby.
And if you're here, odds are your fantasy season is over because your entire team is hurt. So glad you clicked on this video today, and we're going to talk about we're going to give you like just an injury breakdown, guys. It's going to be a fun episode. I think we're going to try and make it fun, and we're going to try and not cry the entire time because there's just so many people that are just stars, just hurt 2 weeks in that we don't have for our teams anymore. It is a rough go of it, but it's going to be a fun time. Listen, make sure you stick around because we're going to give you a sneaky Thursday Night Football preview as well for an exhilarating game between the Jets and the Patriots. Oh,
I don't know. Patriots kind of look pretty good.
Patriots are kind of good, dude. Patriots are impressing a little bit. I don't know. We'll see. Listen, stick around for it. Before we do everything, follow us on all our socials. They're all linked down below. You can get into our Discord community. All of that is through our Patreon, patreon.com/4thandtrollfantasy. We also got some exclusive merch there as well, and weekly rankings that drop in there to help you guys. Also, if you have any questions, start sit. If you're worried about injuries, if you're worried anything, if you want some memes, hop in. It's a fun time. Definitely going to have a good time. Like, subscribe, ring the bell, and we got to talk about it, Wes, because there's just so many injured players.
Yeah, a lot of first and second round picks are already hurt. A lot of our star players that we were at least expecting for the season are already hurt. A lot are on IR. A lot are already confirmed to miss multiple weeks. And some we may or may not have next week that are some of our best players in the team. So we're going to go through this as a little fun, depressing game called Trade or Stash. Noah, you're going to help us out. You're going to help us understand these 9 players that we've got that we want to understand what we should do with them. This is from the perspective of a fantasy owner of the injured player. So if you don't have them, think of it in the opposite way if you should or should not trade for them, starting with the consensus #1 overall pick, Christian McCaffrey, calf strain, Achilles tendonitis. He's on IR. Trade or stash McCaffrey?
I think if you're at a point where you are the McCaffrey owner and you also have Jordan Mason, you have no choice really but to just stash. You're kind of, here's the thing. When McCaffrey comes back, when he's healthy enough to come back, when the Niners decide that he is good to roll out, he's going to be a difference maker for your team each week, in and out. If you have Jordan Mason, you got him there. You got the handcuff. You're good. Like you just kind of got to hold on to him. Now, if you don't have Jordan Mason and you're the Christian McCaffrey owner, I'm not really sure what you should do. I think maybe you should maybe you try and sell, but I don't know who's buying Christian McCaffrey without Jordan Mason. So that's kind of the thing. So maybe if someone picked up Jordan Mason in your league and it's not you, obviously, maybe you just try and sell McCaffrey to the Jordan Mason owner and be like, hey, look, you make this guy worth holding on to, because once you have Jordan Mason out, McCaffrey in. That's kind of where I'm at with McCaffrey. If you've got Mason, you got to hold, and I think pretty much overall you should probably hold. But if you're in a situation where it's not looking good and you've lost maybe some more of these guys here that we're about to talk about, it may be worth looking into trade options.
#2, Cooper Kupp, ankle injury, going to be on IR. We'll talk about his other teammate. Trade or stash Cooper Kupp?
Yeah, so I almost was Googling tall buildings in my city when he went down on Sunday. That was tough. It was a tough look. He jogged off the field, and listen, it was disappointing to watch. We kind of figured maybe something might happen. He doesn't come out for the second half. He's ruled doubtful. We wonder, is this because the game was a blowout? It's obviously something bigger. He's seen in a walking boot. You got to hold on Cooper Kupp, because when he comes back, he's going to continue to be that guy. We don't know the exact timeline. He is an IR candidate, so we could be looking week 7. That they have a week 6 bye, so they could just be looking to hold him out. Maybe they don't put him on the IR. Maybe they keep him so he can come back fresh after that bye week. Just missing those 3 games, but you got to hold on Cooper Kupp. I don't think the value for what you can get while he's out is going to be worth it if it just ends up being like about a 4-week absence. Because again, when he comes back, he's great, and we've seen it. So you got to hold on Cooper Kupp.
Yeah, I agree. Next up, Justin Jefferson, hamstring contusion hasn't been ruled out for next week, but obviously with the hamstring injuries that have happened to other receivers, trade now while you can, or keep Justin Jefferson.
I think it's definitely a keep. I think Jefferson has come out and did
Yeah,
post game
I agree.
interviews, and he said he felt great, or not great, but he felt like he was already feeling better after the injury and their victory over the 49ers. So you definitely, I think you hold on Jefferson, and I think you've got a real chance to actually not miss any time. I think he can come back out next week with Darnold is what we're looking like. So hold on Jefferson.
Yeah, AJ Brown, we actually learned on Monday night he had a hamstring flare up during the weekend, was ruled out before Monday even, but we learned that he was probably going to miss several weeks. Should you trade him or stash him?
This is a scenario where I think maybe if you're interested in seeing what's out there, it won't hurt to see what you could get for AJ Brown right now. Obviously, it's going to be difficult. You've just learned that it's not just a 1 week absence; it's probably going to be multiple weeks. So I don't know what the return could be to its full extent, but this Eagles offense, while it does still look good, it's definitely doesn't seem like it might be as high powered as maybe we hoped. And again, we're only 2 weeks in,
Yeah,
but
true.
there are legitimate weapons here outside of AJ Brown, and well, there have been before. Yeah, but this Kellen Moore offense looks like it's definitely going to be spreading the ball around. Devontae Smith was an equal counterpart to AJ Brown, and obviously they have Saquon Barkley, so it's going to be interesting. I would maybe see what the market looks like for AJ Brown right now, but I think you can probably go ahead and just hold.
Okay, number 5. A couple more here. We'll go through this quickly. Isaiah Pacheco, fibula fracture, IR, 6 to 8 weeks. Will be here very late in the regular season. Trade or stash?
That was such disappointing one. I think you need to
Yeah,
hold though because we saw the volume he was getting. He was the absolute dude. Such a high snap count, such a high target share
yeah,
of the running backs. It's disappointing, but the hopefulness is that it's not anything tissue related. It's bone. So when they heal, they come back and they should be fine. So hold on Pacheco because he really is looking like he's going to be a top 10 back when he's in and playing for you. And so it's disappointing. It's hard. We're going to talk a little bit more about how you can replace him later in the waiver wire section, but hold on to Pacheco.
I am an AJ Brown owner. Maybe I'll try to package something to get Isaiah Pacheco for the future. Who
Not
knows? I'll
bad.
consider it.
Yeah.
Number 6, Amon-Ra St. Brown, hamstring injury plus cramping, not ruled out for next week. Trade or stash?
It's Stash. I'm holding on to him. It seems like the reports were that it really was just kind of some cramping and that he's
Okay.
going to be back. He's going to be good. So it's definitely Stash.
Last 3 here. Puka Nakua, sprained PCL on IR, going to be out another 7-ish weeks. Stash or trade?
I'm so conflicted on this because it's like
You like him?
it's I love Puka, but it's also do you trade him on the prospect? What are you getting on the dollar? What's the return? I think at this
Yeah.
point you still hold just because what's the return going to look like? I don't know. Is he going to come back before Cup? Probably not. And so I definitely think
This
we're
sucks.
dude.
This
This is so
sucks.
depressing. This is so
This
sad.
is
I
the
mean, like, all these guys we
worst.
love, and it's just terrible. Hold on
Oh,
Puka while you can. Definitely don't. Especially if you have an IR slot, he's worth putting in there. So
yeah. Okay, last 2 here. Joe Mixon, ankle injury, not ruled out for next week. There may be some tests that we don't know about just yet for what the result is, but do you trade or stash?
I think you stash. I think the opportunity and the volume he's getting is too valuable to let go of just for maybe a short term thing. He did attempt to come back in the game and return, and so uh, while that didn't go exactly according to plan, it's not looking like it's necessarily going to be a long term injury here. We might miss a week,
Yeah.
but we're still waiting to hear more.
Okay, and last but not least, Debo Samuel. Just suddenly Monday we find out, oh, by the way, you have a calf strain, and he's going to miss several weeks, not yet placed on IR. Trade or stash?
It's difficult. I understand. It's hard. It's so early in the year, though, guys. I think you just need to hold, especially. It's hard. I need to hear a little more about this. But Debo, to our prediction, Wes is the top wide receiver in this offense,
Yes.
and
Yeah.
we were on board with this all off season. And so when he comes back, ideally, hopefully, there's not some bad juju in the Gatorade with calf strains here over in San Francisco. But
Mm,
ideally, he's back in the next couple of weeks and he just continues doing what he's been doing because he was making plays this weekend that I was like, dude, I haven't seen Debo make those plays in his career. I don't think he had two big
he's
catches where he
awesome.
went up over the middle to get him, and it was like, oh, this guy is playing every role right now. So
Good.
if you made it through without a ball in your eyes out, there you go. There's an injury breakdown for you.
Fair enough. Okay, now we're moving on to one little segment here, our Victory Lap Tuesday. We just want to share with you the things that we've been saying in previous episodes in the off season to let you know we've got some pretty good predictions here on Fourth and Troll Fantasy. Noah, kick off, start out, go. Just get
Dude, I'm at a loss
your
for
turn.
words too because Kyler Murray, he's that dude. He's that dude. He's my fantasy MVP this season. He is my top. He's the top 5 quarterback for me in my preseason rankings, and he showed what he can do this weekend. Oh my goodness, a perfect passer rating, 17 for 21. He had like 35 fantasy points. He had over 50 yards on the ground, over 250 passing yards. Marvin Harrison Jr. came out and after the post game, he's this big coming out game, and he said, what'd you think of your game? And he said, well, Kyler had 4 incompletions, and they were all thrown to me, so that's not acceptable, and we're going to fix that. So
Oh my
big things to
gosh.
come, man. They threw 2 back shoulder fades to him. He almost had like a 4 touchdown game. They're going to keep connecting, and any worries anyone had over week 1 with that connection,
That
get that
is like the
shit out of
hottest thing I've ever heard.
here. I know, dude. It's awesome. Mark
Oh
Andrews,
my
that's back.
gosh.
Listen, tight ends suck in fantasy right now. I don't know what's up. I don't know what's going on here. Unless your name was Brock
They're the
Bowers,
worst.
and you're a terrible tight end for fantasy. But Mark Andrews came back, claimed back that tight end, that top tight end role in that Baltimore offense. Had a long touchdown that he nearly brought in that just got past him, and uh, yeah, Mark Andrews. All right, listen, don't fear, roll him out. I hope he didn't panic sell. He's still going to be obviously the guy. James Conner, my running back stud for week 2, came out like 18 fantasy points to put up those numbers. He's an absolute dude, and this Cardinals offense, I think, is going to be humming for sure. And Javonte Williams, I said, listen, take it easy. All right, it's a timeshare. And while Javonte did see more of the passing work, he still had like 10 fantasy points. Not worth it. So I hope he didn't roll him out. That's it. Wes,
Yeah.
victory lap it, dude.
All right. One of the biggest, boldest claims I made in the offseason was I put Malik Neighbors in my top 10, specifically top 5. And I said for social media, come back after 4 weeks. Let's see where he is then. And so far, after what he just did in week 2, I'm taking an early victory lap. And we'll still circle back around week 4, see how he does. But I'm loving this. Marvin Harrison, I'm taking a mini victory lap, but I want you to hold my hand and take the lap with me, Noah, because not only did I say he was a stud, but like, yeah, I needed your support because I said, hey, I'm beginning to succumb to the week 1 panic. I almost gave in, and I had a trade offer for Rashee Rice. Marvin Harrison for Rashee Rice. Not bad, but you said settle down, let it be. And there he is. Incredible.
Yeah.
I said Tyler Lockett was a dud. I said, let's see DK Metcalf and JSN go off. And sure enough, they each had monster games. Holy crap.
Oh, we got to get in a Fluke for real for
we're going
that.
to talk about Jackson
goodness.
Smith-Jigba soon, man. Anyway, I said Lockett was a dud. Hope you listened. And I said Alec Pierce was for real. Kind of got a little bit of a discouraging reply from you, which is so fine because that's a fluky stat line. But look what happened. Nobody's doing anything on that offense for the passing except Alec Pierce. Maybe he's going to be the guy. We're going to talk about him in our Fluke for Real segment, but that's a victory lap. Hope you're listening to what we say here on Fourth and Troll. Now, on to Fluke for Real from week 2.
Fluke for real. All right, dude, let's do it. Let's just jump into it. We got a handful of guys to talk about here. Starting out with some quarterbacks in these positive games. Derek Carr, 26.8 fantasy points. What the hell is going on with the Saints? This, I mean, at what point do we go this, I mean, I think this feels for real. Like I'm not at a point where I'm like running out because he's the quarterback too. And I'm like, oh, I gotta get him so that I can bench Kyler. But it's like, yeah, this feels for real. 15 drives he's led that have ended in points. He has not had a drive this season that he has led that has not ended in points. He played the Cowboys. Huh?
Yeah. Yeah. The only pushback I have to say it's for real is I want to see more attempts. Only 16 attempts.
Sure.
Let's see what it looks like with 25. Let's see how many yards and touchdowns that is. But I mean, I will say Fluke just because I need it one more time with more passing attempts.
Sure.
But I get it. I get it.
Understood. I get that. Sam Darnold. Oh boy. Against the 49ers faithful. 25 fantasy points. 17 for 26, 268 yards, 2 touchdowns, threw a pick, 32 yards on the ground. I mean,
Yeah.
are the Vikings like not cooked?
I don't think so. I mean, as long as you have Justin Jefferson and he's healthy, I think Sam Darnold can be a great injury fill-in, a great bye week fill-in. And if you have a matchup circumstance with the quarterback, maybe. But I mean, again, 97 yards and 1 touchdown came in a single play. So
Right.
at the same time, Justin Jefferson is one of the few players to do that. So I kind of like Derek Carr. I need to see it with a little more meat to the full game. But I'll say Fluke again, but I get it. I have no problem if anyone says for real.
Absolutely. And it's very fair. And 25-point fantasy game, missing Jordan Addison as well, and missing Justin Jefferson for about a quarter of that game as well. So really interesting stuff there we got to keep an eye on. When he did it against the Giants, it was like, it's the Giants. And then it was the 49ers. It was like, oh shit, we got to talk about Sam Darnold, don't we?
Just like Derek Carr. It was like it was the Panthers, and then it was like, oh, that was the Cowboys.
Oh, that was Dallas in Dallas. Oh no. All right, another Saint here, Alvin Kamara. Oh, 44 fantasy points, dude. 20 carries, 115 yards, 3 rushing touchdowns. Took a 55-yard screen pass or like dump off to the end zone as well. 4 touchdowns. Felt like it was Christmas Day again. This is for real, right, Wes?
Yeah, and specifically the 44-point aspect of it, that's also for real because I think it's one of the few players that can have 40 points with the way he's used in the goal line or on the goal line in the red zone and the passing volume. Yeah, I mean, I thought it was being audacious to say that he was top 9. I am as RB9. He just might be top 5 at the end of the season.
He may be top 5, yeah.
It's incredible.
It's definitely
for
looking
real.
like it, for sure. Another running back here, the youngest player to ever score a touchdown from scrimmage in NFL history. Well, he's tied with another guy from like way back in the 1960s or whatever, but it's Braylon Allen for the New York Jets. 19.6 fantasy points. He does it on 9 touches for like 56 total yards and 2 touchdowns. I want to get your thoughts, Wes, because we love Breece Hall.
We do love Breece Hall. Yeah. What I learned is that Braylon Allen has not only become one of the best handcuffs now in the fantasy football world, but also he can be an interesting play in the way that someone else we're going to talk about, like Zach Charbonnet, where he's still involved in the first team and he fills in for when the main running back is gone. But this is starting to smell a little bit like Nick Chubb, Kareem Hunt kind of, but it's still too early. I like it. Maybe. And that's not really the point of this segment. So I'll say for real, just because it looks pretty good.
I'm gonna say Fluke for now, just because Breece Hall is one of 2 players that they just really game plan to heavily feature. So yes, on the very strong handcuff, I'm gonna say Fluke on the 20 points a week kind of thing. I don't think we're gonna be looking at that. So next guy here, David Montgomery, 17 fantasy points. He finds the end zone, dude. I think this might be close to for real. And they're both eating. That's the thing.
Yeah, they're both doing it. I thought it was one or the other, but this is for real.
Whatever. Yeah, I think this is for real. Yeah.
Fine.
Another guy here, we love him. J.K. Dobbins, 20 fantasy points. This is for real. We were both excited about him coming into the year as a sleeper pick. Comes in, does great in week 1. Oh, I don't know. Let's see it again. Oh, that's the Panthers. I don't know if that's gonna. Cool, he did it again, but it's the Panthers. I'm a little worried about next week against Pittsburgh, but we'll see what happens. But this is for real. This is a split backfield. They each got over 17 carries. This team just loves to run the ball, dude. So this is going to be definitely a for real option there. Guy you mentioned, Zach Charbonnet, comes in with 17.9 fantasy points. Now, Kenneth Walker was ruled out. He has an oblique injury that they're apparently taking a very cautious approach with. So Charbonnet is going to be relevant over the next week or so, maybe 2 weeks. So I think we're going to have to see how this plans out for Kenneth Walker, because I do believe when he's back, it's his backfield. But
I agree.
In the meantime, I think this is for real. I think Zach Charbonnet is going to get enough volume to be a good guy. I mean, it wasn't super efficient. 14 carries, only 38 yards, but he's definitely is 5 catches, 31 yards. He scores a touchdown. If he finds the end zone, he definitely has a good day for you. Yeah.
I would start Charbonnet for real. I would start Charbonnet if I lost Pacheco or Mixon for next week or any other running back. If Walker, whatever it is, I would start Charbonnet. He's great. He's very good.
Absolutely. All right, Ramondre Stevenson. Oh, now I still stand by my adjustment that Josh Jacobs is higher in my rankings than Ramondre Stevenson. I'm going to amend that by saying they're both still too low on my list, because I had Ramondre originally in that top 16, and he definitely seems to belong there. In my opinion, 17 fantasy points. I believe it was over 20 fantasy points last week.
Yeah.
This is for real. Like this offense. Well, who's going to be the pass catcher? We got to figure that out. Do we? I think you're just giving the ball to Ramondre Stevenson. He's had 28 opportunities and 26 opportunities in each of his first 2 games. I don't know. I think it's for real.
I think what we learned last year is that Mac Jones just sucks ass. And when you get him out, Ramondre is good again.
Facts. There you go. Boom.
Honestly.
Done. Malik Neighbors, you mentioned him, West in the victory lap. This is for real. He's that dude. I hope he sees 18 targets every single game. Because if he does,
who else is there?
Exactly. Quentin Johnson. I don't even need to say the stat line. This is a fluke. But anyway, 22 fantasy points, 5 catches, 51 yards, and 2 touchdowns. He's wide open. He found himself wide open twice in the end zone, and he caught 2 touchdowns. There you go. Rashid Shaheed. Here we go. Moving on here. I still don't know if I'm like, this is for real. Because again, it's the Saints. But also, how can I look at it and say it's not? Because they've done it against the very easiest defense you could do it against, and then against one of the toughest defenses you could do it against. I think it's okay. I'll say for real, but
okay,
it is with this asterisk of knowing that, like, okay, you're gonna get this 21-point game from Shaheed, or you're gonna get a 3-point game from Shaheed, and you just got to roll with it either way, is what it seems.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I'm in agreement, and I think Shaheed has proven that he is a very important part of the passing offense. In some ways, more than Olave. Olave had a pretty good game, but Olave was also really short for a touchdown. It was like a yard away from a touchdown.
Yeah,
so
it came down
that would have changed the dynamic. But Shaheed, for real, let's do it.
Yeah,
let's call this for real, man.
Love it. Calvin Ridley, a guy that I was high on coming into the season, thought he was just being severely undervalued. Week 1 did not do a ton, was a little nervous. Good to see him more involved in week 2. 4 catches on 4 targets for 96 yards and a touchdown. He also had 3 carries, so they're manufacturing some touches for him here. Now, 25 fantasy points, 24.7. I think I need to see it again. Because if I'm being honest, I just don't trust Will Levis. And I think it's a worry. I think it's pretty worrisome when your head coach 2 weeks in a row is running out onto the field after a turnover, yelling at your quarterback, "What the f are you doing?" Like, yo, what the f are you doing? Like, what? Like, it's, and he's kind of thrown him under the bus like twice. So I'm a little worried.
Did you see the post-game press conference
with Callahan?
Yeah.
No, what did he say?
Yeah. Oh, he just straight up said, like, yeah, Levis made a dumb decision. He's an adult. He's a grown-up. He needs to know better.
Oh, you're right. I did see that. Dude, when you're an NFL quarterback and your head coach goes, he's an adult, he should know better. Dude, what? Get thrown back to middle school, bro. That's insane. That's insane. Anyway, Calvin Ridley's talented, and he's clearly the alpha wide receiver on this team, because DeAndre Hopkins is, like, not involved whatsoever, which is such a shame to say. But Ridley is the dude, and when they're in the if Levis can shape up, he'll be fine. We'll see. We'll see how it goes.
Yeah.
Zay Flowers. Now, I called him a bust. I did. Uh,
Mm,
I'm not gonna call anything yet, but he does seem to be having a little bit of a better opportunity, a better target share, a better role in this offense this season than I think I thought he would. Todd Monken just showed up a season late, I guess. I don't know, because this was my prediction last year, and then it was hot and cold
maybe.
with him. I want to see it again, but I've loved the target share over the first 2 weeks. So I think there's a chance this is for real. And if he doesn't score the touchdown, he's still got it's like a 14-point game, and I think that's like around where he'll finish probably most weeks. But if he finds the end zone, I think he's going to give you a 20-point week, and I think that's really good. And I'm suddenly wishing I had maybe drafted a little more Zay Flowers. So I don't know.
He sees a lot of targets, and that's what I love. And I think he might
Yeah,
end up being the closest, if not the first wide receiver Lamar Jackson's produced in the top 20.
absolutely, I agree. Andre Yoshivas, a guy that I like. I got a lot of him in Dynasty. Enjoyed playing him this week. About 14.7, 15 fantasy points. There's Yoshi. And
There he is.
this is a fluke. I'm sorry to say it, but two
It's a
catches
fluke.
and they were both touchdowns, and he had like 4 yards or 7 yards or whatever
7
it was.
yards.
But he got to
What a
14.7
joke.
fantasy points just because they were both touchdowns. Now, T. Higgins isn't even there. When T. Higgins comes back, we're not really sure what's going to happen. It's going to be interesting. Uh, he's given some good spot start value, but I don't think I don't even know if you can sell high right now on him, but he's definitely somebody that I don't know. I think it's a fluke, sadly.
It's a fluke. It's a fluke.
Yeah.
We
Alec
all know.
Pierce, we mentioned him. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
This might be for real.
Mm-hmm.
I'm at a point where I need to see one more.
Sure.
And I can't even say he was saved by the touchdown, because if he hadn't scored the touchdown, he scored like a 4-yard touchdown at the end of the game when they were driving down there at the end. But if he doesn't score on that play, he still has a 9-point fantasy day, which is still more than I would have given Alec Pierce after the first week. So it's still
Mm-hmm.
worth noting that it's like, okay, maybe he's going to be involved. I'm a little worried what happens when Josh Downs returns. That's my only concern, truthfully. I know they play a little bit of a different role, but that's my only concern. Um, but Pierce is looking like a solid pickup. And if he's still out there, he definitely should be on a roster. I think at least on the bench, like you said last week, Wes. And that's why I hope you listen to the podcast, because Wes told you last week, get him on the bench at least. And if it doesn't pan out, whatever. But if it does, you got yourself a decent flex play. So there you go.
Yeah. I think he's probably the top pass catcher in fantasy for the Colts. Michael Pittman is non-existent. We're going to talk about him in a moment.
Yeah, definitely tough. JSN. Oh boy.
Oh.
Oh boy. Now
Oh.
we were worried. We
Oh,
were very
yeah.
worried. Never in the talent. We never had concern about the talent of JSN.
Right.
But we were worried about the targets and the target share, and it didn't look good.
3 targets.
Well, hot damn, how's 16? Oh boy. 12 catches for 117 yards, 23.7 fantasy points. I don't know how you can't not roll out JSN if you have him on your roster going forward.
yeah.
He will have to be in your lineups going forward at this point. When you get that kind of target share, you're involved. And he had high praise from the regime, from the staff after the game as well, saying this is going to be more of the norm. We're going to get him more involved this way. So this is for real. It was good to see. Darnell Mooney, one of my favorite late round flyers. Now I was worried because I listened to you, Wes, and after week 1, he had like 2 targets, and that was it. So I dropped him.
Mm-hmm.
I dropped him off some of my rosters. I went, he's probably not going to be that impact guy. Well, 17.8 fantasy points on 7 targets, 3 catches for 88 yards and a touchdown. I'm not going to call it for real yet, but I will say another game into seeing this offense gel together. Seems like the ball is getting passed around a little bit more, and Kirk feels a little more comfortable with the offense. So I think you just need to see some real game time action. So many of these offenses this preseason, West, just didn't play their starters. The Cardinals didn't play their starters.
Honestly.
The Falcons didn't play their starters. Those are the 2 examples I'm going to use right now because they're the freshest on my brain. But week 1, they come out and it's rough. And it's a rough go of it. And week 2, you come out and you got multiple pass catchers for the Falcons that are in sync and are being impact players in fantasy. Obviously, Marvin Harrison Jr. comes out and does what he does. Trey McBride comes out and does really solid as far as pass catching tight ends goes. So good things. So I'll just tag on to that. Drake London as well, 17.4 fantasy points. Maybe this is for
Maybe.
real. Maybe this is for real. I think we're seeing a
We'll
rhythm
do it
here.
again.
It's seeing a rhythm here. I want to see it
Yes.
again for sure. 3 tight ends, and then we'll jump into the bad guys because that's always fun to talk about. Brock Bowers,
Yeah.
for real, 18.8 fantasy points.
There's
I can't
no
believe
doubt.
it. 2 years in a row,
Top 5.
a rookie tight end comes out and
top
does
5.
well after so many. Dude, I've heard people. I've seen people on Twitter being like, "Is he the best tight end in the NFL right now? Like right now after 2 weeks?"
Can you name a tight end you should start over Brock Bowers? No. You
like not really.
You shouldn't start anyone over Brock Bowers. I don't care the name, talent. Yeah, I think he's the best fantasy tight end right now.
Delicious.
Until one of these veterans gets going, he's your lock.
That's not true, dude. He scored 18.8 fantasy points. Hunter Henry scored 18.9. So
true.
Get wrecked.
True.
I don't know what to tell you. Hunter Henry, dude. Okay, here's the thing. I'm going to talk about him in our Thursday night preview, so I don't want to spill too much right now. But this is a fluke for me. I don't know what it is for you, Wes. This is a fluke for me.
I said he was a stud in week 1. I was 1 week off, and so I don't see any other pass catchers that are really going to get involved. I know Jalen Polk had a touchdown, but for real, as far as can Henry do this again? Absolutely.
Okay, yeah. I'm with you there. Yeah, for sure. And then Mike Gesicki, 16.1 fantasy points, 7 catches, 9 targets, 91 yards. 16 fantasy points from a tight end and they don't score a touchdown is really, really great. I don't love how deep that tight end room is, and I don't love T. Higgins coming back. But he's worth a ad just in case it happens. So keep that in mind. Fair?
Mm-hmm. Fair.
And we love Gesicki as Dolphins fans. So
yeah, we do.
All right, let's jump into the bad here. Thank you guys for hanging with us because I'm about to go in a little bit because we got to talk about Anthony Richardson. I don't know what I was thinking when I ranked him in my top 10. He lacks as a passer so heavily that it is concerning. I don't know if it's the shoulder injury. I don't know if it's been there all along. I don't know if we freaked out because he had a 2-game sample size and he was like a top 3 quarterback in each of those 2 games because of his rushing upside. This doesn't look good or feel good for Anthony Richardson owners in fantasy. 14.86 fantasy points. He's not like they're trailing the whole game. He's barely running the football. He throws 3 interceptions. He scores a touchdown at the end of the game to essentially save your day as a fantasy owner for Anthony Richardson. I'm worried. And I know you're going, worried. Dude, he had a great week. He had like 20 plus points in week 1. What do you mean? He doesn't look good throwing the football. He doesn't. It's not pretty. No. And I don't think it's going to shape up. Like for when we need to break it down to is that like he's essentially a rookie. He played like 2 games. He played 2 games, 2 full games, and that's it. Like he's making those same rookie mistakes that other rookies are making. Like
he's more than a rookie. This is, I think, his 18th or 19th start, college and NFL combined.
Yeah.
He is tough. Green as can be.
He's a very raw prospect. And I think this is just, there'll be great games. Obviously, we've seen it, but it's going to be a roller coaster with Richardson. And that rushing upside floor that you usually get with a rushing quarterback apparently is not going to be there. And so I'm concerned. I was watching this Packers Colts game and dude, just, I found multiple times I was like, what? Anthony Richardson sucks. Like, why was I ranking this dude in my top 10? Like, looks terrible. I really don't know if it's the rehab from the shoulder. But anyway, this feels more for real than I think anyone wants it to be. So I think I'll leave it at that.
Okay, let's move on.
Okay, next one here, Wes, is Zamir White. Have you jumped ship? Are we off?
I don't know if I'll get demonetized if I throw up 2 middle fingers, so that'll be my response.
That's fair. Yeah. And honestly, it's a third. Yeah. It's a fourth middle. It's a fourth and troll, flick you off, double down, because and it hurts even more because it's Alexander Madison who's doing better than he is, and it's like that was our guy we were so into last year, and now it's happening. But yeah, Zamir White is borderline droppable. It's
For
just
real.
that this team isn't going to be in a position where they can run the ball out, and even if they are, it feels like Madison is already overtaking him on the depth chart. Even though Antonio Pierce was like, yeah, guys like Madison, it's important to get the depth pieces. Suck my ass, dude. There's no way you actually think he's a depth piece.
Tell him, dude.
That's so annoying.
Suck Noah's ass.
Yeah. All right. Rachaad White, 3.3 fantasy points. Fluke. Disappointing for sure, but fluke.
But bad game. That's it.
Dude, one catch. Fluke. In what world? In what world Rachaad White ever finishing a game with one catch ever again?
Buy low. Low.
Yeah. If someone's panic selling, go for it. Garrett Wilson, 10.2 points. I don't like saying that this might be more for real than it should be. And no, it's not. It's not for real. Okay, because week 1 was the 49ers.
Okay.
Week 1 was the 49ers. Yeah. And week 2 was L'Jarius Sneed.
Yeah.
In Tennessee.
Best defensive back last season. Yes.
Right.
100%.
This is the buy low. This is the buy low of week 2. Between week 2, week 3, going into week 3, this is the buy low. If the Garrett Wilson manager in your league is freaking out, you need to go for it. Because I get the numbers don't look like round 1 wide receiver, but I promise you he is.
You can maybe wait next week with how good Christian Gonzalez could be Thursday night.
Right.
It's possible.
You need to get even
it's
cheaper.
Possible.
Yeah, love it. Okay. Jaden Reed, 6.6 fantasy points. This is a fluke. When Jordan Love comes back.
Wait till Love is back.
He's the guy. Yep. Yeah. Somehow the Packers pulled out a win with Malik Willis. That was phenomenal. Oh my gosh.
Somehow is named Anthony Richardson.
Somehow is named Anthony Richardson, 3 interceptions. There you go. That's for real. Yeah. Michael Pittman Jr., 5.1 points. Unfortunately, this feels for real because of said.
I agree.
Back up 10 seconds. This is for real. There you go. Jamar Chase. Yeah. I'm going to let you handle this, Wes, because 7.5 points. Not great. Bengals look better. But Chase in the production profile, not great 2 weeks in. Does T. Higgins need to come back and things get split up a little bit? What are we looking at here?
Well, you look at the idea that they played the reigning Super Bowl champions. Joe Burrow is the only active quarterback to have beat Mahomes in the playoffs, and it was a competitive game and a controversial ending that came down to the wire. And Jamar Chase had 4 catches for 35 yards.
Yeah.
Now let me save some face real quick. He's going to ball out next week. They're playing the Commanders, okay?
Yeah.
Let me save some face, okay? Because last time we called out Jamar Chase to trade him, he went off for 55 points. He's probably going to have a really great game next week, but this is what I was worried about and why I did not put him in my top 10. Because he did not have round 1 numbers last season, aside from this great game against the Cardinals last year and a great game against the Jaguars last year. He was averaging about 12 points a game, and that is not wide receiver 1 material, and I am worried, and I will continue to say season long, this is for real. Next week, you can start him, and I dare say sell high. There are a lot of wide receiver injuries, but I was worried all offseason, didn't put him top 10, and this is why.
Fair enough. Xavier Worthy, 4.2 fantasy points. This is what we meant. This is what we said. If he doesn't score a touchdown, you're screwed. You're screwed. That's how it goes. Congratulations. This is what we expected. Now, I will say with Pacheco out, I do expect them to be to be passing the football more. So maybe we'll see more opportunities, but 5 opportunities. It truly, go back to the episode week 1 or opening night preview. We said, it's risky, and it is in week 2. We got a 50% hit rate so far, so we'll see how it pans out. Amari Cooper, 4.1 fantasy points. I'm pissed, dude.
Oh yeah.
Start Jameis Winston. I don't know, and that's the annoying thing actually too, is that I think actually this I think so far this actually falls more on Cooper than it does on Watson. Watson looked better this week than he did in week 1. But I'm pissed. It's like, dude, he's dropping passes. Yeah. he's in like the top 12 most targeted wide receivers so far this season, and he has like 5 catches to account for it. Like it's disappointing, and I'm giving myself a 3-week buffer here just to okay. Same reason I need to see positive things happen 3 weeks for a third time before I buy in. I'm going to give some grace here. So with Amari Cooper, I'm still willing to say it's a fluke because he somehow always has these up and down games, and he still ends up like a top 18, top 20 wide receiver at the end of the year. So it's definitely possible, but this is not what we signed up for,
I'm
especially
just
to
waiting
start
for
the year.
Jameis Winston. That's it. He's on my bench, I think, until he starts eating dubs with Jameis. That's just what I'm waiting for.
Did you see the Jerome Ford quote about Jameis?
No.
He goes, Jameis calls plays in the huddle like he has a secret to tell you. It's so funny to think about.
That's fantastic.
So yeah.
Wait. Oh, real quick. So random. Okay. Bucks doing great. Okay. I had a dream scenario this afternoon. Bucks, Browns, Super Bowl. Jameis Winston under center, going against his old team. Baker Mayfield going against the Browns.
Oh my
his old team.
gosh.
That's my Super Bowl dream for this season.
Insane.
Imagine that. Jameis versus Baker in the Super Bowl. Oh,
incredible.
Oh,
unreal. Okay. I'm severely disappointed. And this is actually been I'm not gonna listen, we try to be the most entertaining fantasy podcast we can. I'm gonna get so real for a second. This has been the hardest L to take so far this season for fantasy football. Is Christian Kirk. I felt so good about Christian Kirk coming into the year, and not so good like he was going to be a top 12 guy, but so good that he was going to be like, yeah, you know those weeks when you lose by 6? Well, no, you didn't, because Christian Kirk got you 11.5 to 15. Like that's where he's at. Now, week 1, I watched the game against the Dolphins. He had 2 drops. He would have had about like a 9-point game had he caught those passes. The target share, I don't understand what's going on with Jaguars. They're 0-2. Christian Kirk's not involved. I feel like they're trying to
Ingram
feature more
too.
Brian Thomas Jr. Ingram was out. Bigsby got hurt. It's like you had like a couple options to throw the ball to. And I get it. It's the Browns. It's a good defense. But like, dog, what are we doing here? Like, this is I'm in a position because of injuries, because of I'm missing Cooper Kupp. I'm in a position where I have to roll out Christian Kirk for a 3rd straight week. Similarly with Amari Cooper, I'm going to give him another week on Monday Night Football against the Bills. And I know how it's going to pan out. I'm going to be down to my opponent by like 3 points. And I'm just going to have Christian Kirk left. And I'm going to go, Christian Kirk, just get me 3 points. And he's going to screw me. And I'm probably going to quit fantasy football after that. So far, it feels for real. But hey, Doug Peterson, get your head out of your ass. And if you want to start winning football games, how about you involve the wide receiver that you're paying a shit ton of money to be on this offense? Put him on the field. Sorry, Gabe Davis, no thanks. Okay? Christian Kirk, that's where Trev feels comfortable. That's where he's in his zone. We've seen it over the last 2 years. We saw games where Christian Kirk was in like 40% target shares because Trev was just hyper targeting this guy. It's a tangent. I'm sorry. I'm here. It's personal for me on this one.
Yeah,
I'm really pissed off about this, dude. And I need it to pan out because I felt so good about the late value, and it's so frustrating. And it's a terrifying play this week. But on primetime,
good luck.
Island game, we're gonna see him under the lights.
It's in London, yeah.
I don't think so. I think it's just Monday Night Football. I don't know if it's in Jacksonville or if it's in Buffalo, but it's I don't know.
Oh well, whatever.
I'm disappointed, bruv. Anyway, Deontay Johnson, 4.5 fantasy points. I was about to say for real.
Sure. Yeah, I was.
Then the Red Rocket came out to play, and we'll see what Andy Dalton does. We'll see what Andy Dalton can do with his offense.
Pretty well on your bench. Don't start him because of Dalton just yet. Yeah, don't start him.
I want to make sure you weren't saying Dalton. I was like, yeah, dude, I don't think we should start Dalton.
Don't start.
I don't want to go on record as this podcast saying that.
No. But Johnson will be good with Dalton.
Yeah, he will be. He started against Seattle last year, and man, that was it was like, oh,
Offense
why did
looked
they
like
even
they were
draft
a
Bryce
real
Young?
football team.
Yeah.
Drop,
Uh,
drop Bryce Young.
some tight ends. Sam Laporta. Ouch. He
Oh,
was like the first drafted tight end, and he scored 3.3 fantasy points. He had a better week one, but this is the emergence of JMO and 19 targets to Amon-Ra St. Brown last week.
mm,
This might feel a little more for real than we thought. We like Sam Laporta a lot, but the price was always
yeah,
too high for us. And as we said
I'm just gonna
earlier,
go.
tight ends just suck so far this year. Like tight ends
I
are just
guess
terrible, including Travis Kelce, 1.6 fantasy points, 3 targets. Now, he did have a big play called back on a holding penalty, so I mean I'll give him that, but he doesn't feel involved in this offense. Am I
he
am
doesn't
I
look
alone in that?
he doesn't look like the Travis Kelsey that is going to the Hall of Fame. Not that
Mm,
not that he can be part of the team still, but Rashi Rice is the offense, especially
yeah,
without Pacheco.
yeah,
Oh man,
feels that way for
I
sure.
might say
Isaiah
for
like,
real.
oh yeah. I think it's for real. I think this is going to be a disappointing season for Kelsey. Isaiah Likely, 4.6 points. We've seen a great game. We've seen a down game. This was a game where they were like fighting to win the whole time, and they still
Hmm.
lost. And I don't really know what to think, but I don't want to call it for real yet because I like the involvement in the offense. So I'm going to say
No,
fluke.
it's a fluke. It's a
Okay.
fluke. Yeah, yeah, 100%. This is. I mean, he'll be just fine. Buy
Yeah.
buy low if you can, especially with how
Big time.
bad the other tight ends are.
Yeah. Kyle Pitts, last guy here, 5 fantasy points, 3 catches for 20 yards on 4 targets. I need another week, I think, but I'm leaning towards potentially for real. He caught the touchdown in week one, but
Hmm.
if he hadn't, he had like 4 points. So he caught a touchdown in week one, and it got him to like 11 points. And when you catch a touchdown and only score 11 points, it's like, oh, what are we doing
This
here?
is the stat line.
Right.
5 points.
Disappointing.
Yeah, I say for real. Because, I mean, look at the game winning drive on Monday night. It was Mooney, London, touchdown, London. And then
Yeah.
during the fourth quarter to go up again before that was Mooney.
Yeah.
But it's Bijan and Mooney in London, and Kyle Pitts is non-existent, and it's a shame because we know he's talented, but maybe he's just never going to be a fantasy play. I don't know,
Yeah.
but I
I
say for
agree.
real.
Yeah, it's tough. It's definitely tough. All right, that's it for Fluke for real. Let's jump into a waiver wire segment here, real quick. Wes, talk about the top ads to get in your lineups and in your rosters. Maybe not your lineups, but get in your rosters. Listen, I've got two things to discuss here, real quick. Isaiah Pacheco goes out. All right, does that mean Samaje Perine? Does that mean Carson Steele? Does that mean Kareem Hunt? We're hearing he's visiting.
Mm.
Does that mean Clyde Edwards-Helaire, who's going to be potentially back in week 5 after a little bit of a stint on the PUP? Um, this is going to sound insane, but I think it's none of them. I literally think it's none of them. I think it's going to be a jumbled up committee that you're going to. I don't think you should spend fab on anyone. See who clears and who you can just add, and add one of them and see. Like if you have a strong gut feeling about one of them, maybe it's P Ryan for the PPR upside. Maybe it's Steele because he's an exciting rookie. Maybe it's Kareem Hunt because he's been with the team before. Maybe it's Clyde because he's the guy they brought back. Whatever it is, I don't think you should spend a fab or like a waiver priority on any of these guys. To be honest, I think I think they're just going to start throwing the football way more, and I, I don't know. I think it's going to be hard to replicate the production you were getting on the ground with Pacheco through any of these guys or any combination of these guys. So I'm gonna pass on any of them. To be completely honest with you, um, and wild as it sounds, I feel similarly about the Los Angeles Rams wide receivers. Is it Demarcus Robinson?
Yeah.
Is it Tyler Johnson? Is it Jordan Whittington? Is it Tutu Atwell emerging? Is it Colby Parkinson's going to get more targets? Is it Davis like is it who is it? I don't know. But all I know is that their schedule over the next 3 weeks before their bye week, where then maybe Cup comes back after that bye, is against the San Francisco 49ers
Hmm.
and then at the Chicago Bears, who just held CJ Stroud to 19 points, and then against the Green Bay Packers, who just picked off Anthony Richardson 3 times. I don't really like any of these Rams wide receivers, so I'm actually here on this waiver wire urging you, I don't actually know if I have a strong confirmed set top waiver ad this week. I think you should wait and see who clears, who you cannot spend money on, who you cannot spend fab on, and just go forward from there. But I think it's going to be hard because you're going to have to just call your shot. And I don't think you want to spend fab on just like a dart throw with these two opportunities for more touches. So that's I know it's probably not what anyone wanted to hear,
Huh.
but that's where I'm at with waivers this week. Wes, where are you at?
I have players I'm actually going to say, but I
I'm
like the
thrilled.
thinking.
Thank you.
I like the thinking for the Chiefs backfield and the Rams passing attack. Okay, I have two players. Two players I'm going to talk about. One, I'm buying in on Mike Gritty Gesicki because not only did he have a
Okay.
fantastic week, and the tight end pool is pathetic right now in fantasy, but he actually had a touchdown in week 1 that was ruled out of bounds. Burrow is looking his way. Burrow is trusting him. And Joe Burrow threw to tight ends more yards than he ever has in an entire career because of Gesicki last week against the Chiefs. I think Gesicki's the real deal. Take it from a Dolphins fan who watched him for many years light it up in our receiving game. He's a true pass-catching tight end. I'm buying in. Here's my other waiver wire ad. Go get Juwan Jennings while Debo is out.
Yeah.
Talk about the damn near Super Bowl MVP last year. This guy was amazing with Brock Purdy. There's your waiver wire ad. If you don't know what to do with the running backs, you don't know what to do with the Rams wide receivers, go get a claim for Juwan Jennings and then find out which one of the Chiefs running backs and Rams wide receivers you want. But Juwan is the guy because he was at training camp all offseason, not Brock Purdy. Don't forget, George Kittle got banged up too in the game. He did come back. He's okay. But Juwan is going to be the guy that Brock Purdy's going to throw to. There's your waiver wire ad for week 3.
I like it. That's definitely a sneaky ad. I'm glad I have him on my very deep roster in our 32-man league that we're in, Wes. And he's going to be a guy who gets in there for sure. We're going to do a quick Thursday Night Football preview before we close out the show. So I always want to stick around to the end. Appreciate you guys hanging out with us. Must starts, risky starts, and don't starts for the Jets against the Patriots on Thursday night on Amazon Prime. My must start, I already talked about him once, and I think he's for real. It's Ramondre Stevenson. The Jets are allowing 18.7 points per game to running backs this season. It's only 2 weeks. Big whoop, okay? Tony Pollard and Jordan Mason, both 8. And 2 or 3 years ago, we didn't know who any of those guys were. So, we knew who Tony Pollard was, but still, it wasn't like it was like Bijan or anything like that. It was like, no, those are just guys that are like guys being dudes running the football against the Jets. And like I mentioned, averaging 27 opportunities in this Patriots offense, Ramondre Stevenson is a huge part of the game plan. He's my must start this week.
Of course. Why wouldn't you start him? He's a top 10 running back this year. My must start is nowhere near the top 10 right now, but I think you must still start Garrett Wilson because he is going to pay off once he gets a touchdown. And sure, he can get a touchdown against the Patriots just as he can get a touchdown against any team. But don't give up on Garrett Wilson. We talked about him in our Fluke for Real segment that this is a good opportunity to buy low. He's playing against good secondaries. And yeah, the Patriots have another good secondary, but you still got to roll him out, not just because of the draft capital, but because he's still the top target for Aaron Rodgers. This is the guy, and he's going to do great, and eventually he's going to have his big games, and it's going to snowball. So still continue to start Garrett Wilson. You must start him for Thursday night.
Facts. I agree. Garrett Wilson, roll him out. Big facts. My
Big
risky
facts.
start, another guy we've talked about, Hunter Henry. Listen, he is a guy who can do this kind of game again. It doesn't tend to happen back-to-back much anymore nowadays. That was really in his Chargers days, so I'm a little bit worried. But here's the reality. Jacoby Brissett threw for 149 yards last week against the Seahawks. Hunter Henry had 109 receiving yards. All but 40 yards of Jacoby's offense in the passing game went to Hunter Henry. So the consistency might be a question mark. That's why he's a risky start here. But he had like 12 targets, over 100 receiving yards. That's a great game for a tight end, especially today. So he's my risky start. I'm a little hesitant. I think I'd still maybe go for a guy like Colby Parkinson, just to give if anyone's debating those two things. Parkinson wasn't very involved, but I think if you're debating those two things, if it's a very specific scenario, but I'd still lean more towards that direction. But he's a risky start, but Hunter Henry could be great.
He could be great. You never know. You know what I also don't know who could be great? And I don't know if you should play him. My risky start is Braylon Allen. I don't know if he's going to do this twice. And I know people are going to want to get him and they're going to want to see what happens, especially with all the running backs that are hurt and kind of the uncertainty of some of these other starting running backs we drafted, like Zamir White. And maybe you're still waiting on Jonathan Brooks to save your team. You know, the Carolina Panthers running back.
I am.
I don't know, a lot of uncertainty in the running back position for a lot of players. Braylon Allen's there. Maybe you picked him up. I don't know if you should start him. That wasn't a lot of yards, and it was close range red zone touchdowns, and maybe it'll pan out. Maybe it will, but I don't think it will be the right, smart decision because Breece Hall's still the guy. Breece Hall still finished. Braylon Allen had nearly 20 points, and Breece Hall still had more fantasy points. So just consider that. There's my risky start. I don't like the idea of Braylon Allen, but I got no. Risky, no.
I'm terrified to do this because last time I did this, people got pissed at us in our TikTok comments, but all the reasons you just said he's your risky start is why Braylon Allen is my don't start for Thursday Night Football this week.
Good.
Flashbacks to Xavier Worthy week 1. I just need to see it again to feel okay, even with all the injuries to the starters. I just need to see it again. And I like Braylon Allen coming into the season. He was my 4th running back in the class. I was disappointed he went to the Jets because I was like, man, what's the production look like? What's the future look like? What's the outlook like for him outside of a Breece Hall injury? Well, apparently they're going to be using him as a little bit of a change of pace guy. And when Breece, quote, needs a break, saw that from Nathaniel Hackett and Robert Saleh as well. But I need to see it again to feel okay. No matter the high praise he's getting, I think he's too much of a risk. So I'm saying don't start Braylon Allen.
I think we'll be okay. I don't think we'll have Xavier Worthy flashbacks because he's not a starter. Xavier Worthy was a starter.
That's my hope.
We'll see.
But the fantasy football world has been screwing me this season so far. So I don't know, dude. We'll see what happens.
Well, my don't start is Jalen Polk. Patriots wide receiver, got a nice little touchdown. No, he won't do that again. And if he does, we'll start talking about whether or not it's Fluke or for real. And I'll say it's a fluke. If he has a good game for whatever reason, I'm not going to buy into him as a week 4 starter or something. But Jalen Polk, not the guy. None of the Patriots wide receivers actually are worth starting. Demarion Douglas, I think, had 0 targets. He was probably the highest drafted Patriots wide receiver. Didn't even play on Sunday. So there's my don't start. Basically, none of the Patriots wide receivers.
Boom. There you go. That's it. Let us know what you thought of the episode. If you're in injury just wasteland with us here over at 4th and Troll, make Teddy the Troll smile by liking, subscribing, and ringing the bell. Drop in the comments who you're picking up on the waiver wire, and if you think somebody we said is Fluke is for real, and vice versa. We will see you guys on Friday, recapping Thursday Night Football, and looking forward to week 3. It's going to be a blast. My name is Noah Selby.
And I'm Wes Selby.
And this has been 4th and Troll Fantasy.
4th and Troll Fantasy is a production of FQ Media and Selby Artistic Workshop.